Do you struggle with afternoon snack attacks, overeating at dinner, and you just can't seem to stop eating the popcorn or the sweets in front of the TV when you're unwinding before bed? What if I were to tell you that it's not about having more willpower, but it's about strategically eating for your metabolism the first half of the day? Wouldn't that be such a relief? In my experience as a dietitian in functional medicine for the last decade plus, I can tell you that most of the bad eating behavior I see in the afternoons and into the evenings is definitely related to breakfast and lunch not being teed up correctly. So I repeat, being good the second half of the day is not about willpower. It is about strategically eating breakfast and lunch correctly. Since I already made a video all about breakfast, I'll link the cards down below if you haven't watched that yet. Today I'm dishing out everything about lunch to make lunch the metabolism boosting event of your day. You'll definitely want to stay until the end because I'm not just going to be sharing about what to eat specifically for lunch. I'll also be giving you my 4 simple hacks that I use to help my clients get insane results from their lunches. You ready for this? Let's go. May here, I'm a functional medicine dietitian and I love helping men and women over 40 look and feel their very best by optimizing their metabolism, hormones, and health span. This is the channel to be watching if you really want the science and strategies behind how to look and feel your best. By the way, if you haven't already, download my must-have food guide on boosting your metabolism. All right, so let's dive in. I'm just gonna give you my punchline right off the bat. The name of the game is to treat lunch as one of the biggest opportunities you have to set yourself up for success the second half of the day. Lunch not only can help feed your good bacteria, but it can also give you the energy you need to power your brain, to stabilize your mood, and also to help stabilize your blood sugar, which if you've watched my belly fat video, you know how strategic that is for losing weight and belly fat overall. So what should lunch consist of? A proper lunch, when you're looking at your plate, is gonna have at least half your plate filled with non-starchy vegetables. These are vegetables that have less carbohydrates. The exceptions, the more starchy vegetables, are gonna count more as carbs. So those are gonna be things like potato, sweet potato, your hard squashes, etc. So everything else would count as more non-starchy, just for the record. Oh, by the way, corn and peas, they count more or less as starch as well. Again, you're gonna want to aim for 1/3 of the protein that you need for the entire day in this meal. If you're eating 3 meals a day, that makes sense. So most people, it's gonna look like 25 grams of protein or more on your plate for lunch. Ideally also, the amount of carbs you have coming from real food carbs like whole grains, whole beans, starchy vegetables, that's gonna constitute less than 30 grams of carbs for lunch for most people if you're over 40. The exception would be if you're super active or you are super big and strong. Lastly, I really do like seeing some fermented condiments on the side at lunch. That would be a bonus, along with fresh herbs and spices. Now, this goes without saying, and I think it's kind of obvious, but you do want to avoid things like cookies and chips and fries and sodas. Any kind of empty carbs you really don't want sneaking into lunch, and it's really easy for that to happen if we're not being conscientious. If you do need something sweet though, I would always default to a little bit of very dark chocolate. And again, some of you know this, my favorite chocolate is FX Chocolate by Designs for Health. I'll link them down below. It's a perfect single serving after lunch, so you get your supplement and your chocolate boost without overdosing on calories. If you're not a huge fan of dark chocolate, it's too bitter for you, I would go with something like a little bit of chia seed pudding with some fresh fruit. Those are kind of my top 2 picks to stave off that sweet tooth. Now, I will say I love seeing lunch as some kind of leftover protein packaged with a really big salad or seasonal vegetables of some sort. Remember, this is also a very strategic time of day to have a little side of cooked and cooled beans, whole grains, or pastas as a form of resistant starch, which feeds our good bacteria and helps them make something called butyrate, which I talk a lot more in my belly fat foods video, so go check that out after this if you haven't watched that. Now, this is the point where I'd like to share my good, better, best philosophy when it comes to how you should look at putting together your lunch. First things first, I do want to talk about what the worst lunch ideas would be, just so so we can get that out of the way and move on to good, better, best. The worst thing you could do for lunch is to skip lunch. I see a ton of, especially my health conscious women out there who are trying to skimp on calories. I see them skipping lunch a lot, and then they cannot stop snacking in the second half of the day, and they end up overdoing the calories when they really don't want to. So don't skip lunch if at all possible. It is not intermittent fasting, by the way. That is not the definition of intermittent fasting, for the record. Intermittent fasting is overnight. Skipping lunch is not intermittent fasting. Okay, the other worst lunch would be the standard American diet, which would be like pizza and wings, a burger and fries, a sandwich and chips and some soda, and lastly, like a greasy burrito, right? We really don't need these kind of empty calories that set us up for a blood sugar spike, clog up our arteries with a ton of saturated fat, and just do not provide any real nutrition at all. So skip the standard American diet lunches, and again, skip the skipping lunch. That would be something we don't want to do. So if you're doing those things, again, no blame, shame, or guilt, but it is time to upgrade. So the good in the good, better, best philosophy I have for lunch is to eat out at a sit-down restaurant that has decently healthy choices. For my private clients, I actually will go through their 4 top restaurants they go to for lunch. We look at the menu together, and I help them pick out strategically, based on their preferences and goals, exactly what I would have them order. And that way they have that list. It's ready to go. They can give it to their assistant to DoorDash whenever they need it, and it's a done decision. Which, by the way, if you want a video about how to navigate eating out menus, let me know down below. I might just film that video for you. My best advice, though, when it comes to choosing restaurants is pick a restaurant that has a lot of variety on the menu when it comes to vegetables that aren't drenched in butter or, deep fried. And also, these are the restaurants that tend to offer cleaner protein options and just cater towards more health conscious people in general. So you're going to be able to find healthier options at these restaurants. So finding the right restaurants to begin with is going to really set you up for success in eating a good lunch. Now, the better option would be to pack your own lunch. If you didn't have time to pack a full-on lunch, it would be to pack strategic, healthy, very high protein snacks. For example, hard-boiled eggs, hummus and vegetable crudités, apple and nut butter, a grass-fed beef jerky. These are things that you can assemble, snacks, if you will, that you can assemble alongside maybe a protein shake or a cheese seed pudding with protein bars cut up on it. You can assemble a lunch that isn't truly something you had to cook or prepare. That's a collection of healthy snacks. So the best philosophy for lunch is, you might have guessed, to pack a homemade lunch. The reason why is you can control the quality of the ingredients, you can control what temperature they were cooked at, the oils that they were cooked in, and overall, these foods weren't adulterated by being covered in foil or plastic along the way. I love it when people bring one-pot meals for lunch, like salads, bowls, stir fries. It just adds so much variety to lunch. So now that we covered exactly what to eat and my good, better, best philosophy for lunch, I want to get into some simple hacks that really help my clients get insane results from their lunches. You ready? So my first hack I have for you of making lunch an insane metabolism boosting event is to make your lunch a everything but the kitchen sink meal. Now, the acronym is really hard to pronounce, so I'm going to also call this just an eclectic meal. So breakfast is usually quick and simple because of time constraints for most people. Dinner also has its own constraints based on the food preferences of the people that are eating at the table with you. So lunch is actually one of the best times of the day to eat whatever you want to eat. For me and my clients, I like to try to use lunch as a strategic meal to hit my 10 vegetables a day quota that I like to use. Since eating a variety of vegetables is the best thing you could do for your microbiome and your metabolism, I definitely say pick one meal a day that is as eclectic as possible. Everything but the kitchen sink. And for a lot of my clients, it's either lunch or dinner. So let's just quickly go over what everything but the kitchen sink really means. Eclectic, for me, means 5 colors on a plate of real vegetables, at least 3 different textures, 1 herb, some kind of healthy fat and clean protein, and ideally some kind of fermented vegetable like sauerkraut, kimchi, miso, kefir, kombucha, something of that nature. Essentially, it is the docked up version of a one-pot meal. Now, I get it. This is not for the faint of heart. There are some people who don't like to have that much variety all in one place. I once had a college roommate who would eat her sandwich layer by layer because she didn't like all of those ingredients in her mouth at the same time. I am a complete opposite person. I get angry if my sandwich doesn't have every single ingredient in each bite. So if you're more like my college roommate, definitely you might have to pack a main and then a bunch of sides, or deconstruct your salad and eat it all separately. You do you, but get the variety in. I personally love bringing eclectic salads to every single potluck I'm ever invited to. And if you're in my friend circle, you've experienced my salads before. I'm not joking. My salads are my secret weapon to sneak vegetables into the lives of my friends, families, and complete strangers. So it's my way of bringing nutrition to every event I ever go to, even if I'm not giving a lecture. I can make an eclectic salad in literally less than 15 minutes with a homemade dressing included. I never follow a recipe, and it always is a hit every time. So if you ever want a video all about my salads, let me know down below. Okay, hack number 2 and 3 go together. Number 2 hack is pack your lunch the night before when you're doing cleanup for dinner, even if you're working from home. Why? It's so nutritious and it's so much faster. You do not have to be scrambling in the morning to figure out what you're bringing for lunch. Also, this leads to my 3rd hack. When you pack your lunch the night before and bring it, you open up way more time during your lunch break to move your body. And that is hack number 3. Move your body during your lunch break. The two go hand in hand. You pack your lunch and you move your body. Moving your body is so important for your metabolism for 2 reasons. Number 1, NEAT. It stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is how you just increase your daily energy expenditure without being at the gym for hours a day. And for those of us who sit for 8 hours a day, we really need to be mindful not just about hitting the gym, but also these kind of non-exercise activities that really do add up over time. Number 2, the reason why moving your body is so strategic to your metabolism is it really helps you stabilize your blood sugars. If you wear a CGM, you'll be able to see this for yourself, but I can tell you for a lot of my clients, we can actually see a drop of postprandial glucose. This is how your blood sugars look like after you eat, of up to 20 points from just walking leisurely, even flat, on flat roads for 30 minutes. So do not underestimate how powerful moving your body can be for managing blood sugars, especially after eating. Okay, so you eat your homemade lunch, you go for a walk, call a girlfriend, climb some stairs, or even get a quick workout in if you have time. If you're like me, you make time to work out because it's a fight every day. Twice a week, I would work out at the clinic that I used to work at. I would literally roll in a luggage of weights into my office, turn around my monitor, move the chairs, and get a quick workout in before seeing my next patient. One time, the medical director actually walked in on me and was slightly embarrassed because I was in the middle of like a renegade row all sweaty, but then he applauded me because we were both walking the walk. He was over 50, had 17% body fat, avid runner and pickleball player, and so we're all trying to fit it in. You do what you need to do to get it done. So if you're motivated, you will find a way to work out, even if it's squeezing it in during your lunch. My 4th hack to help my clients get insane results from their lunch is to have them do something before, during, or after lunch that boosts oxytocin. I talked about this in my belly fat foods video, which again, definitely check out if you haven't already. So oxytocin counterbalances cortisol, which we know cortisol is terrible for belly fat and overall our metabolism. Oxytocin also improves our mood, improves our stress resiliency, improves our connection with other people. It improves our digestion, our hormone balance. I mean, what does it not do? So here's a few things that you can do at lunchtime to boost oxytocin. Number 1, eat in natural light, not behind a UV window. Actually be in natural light. Turns out vitamin D, when we make it from the sun, it hits our brain receptors and helps us make oxytocin in our brain. Plus, natural light is super relaxing for our nervous system, really helps us tune into our body so that our food is more satisfying. Number 2, you can eat with the coolest people you can find on campus, in your home, in your office space. Compliment them, laugh with them, be in gratitude and connection with them. give them hugs. I mean, I'm not saying hit on your coworkers, okay? Like, don't do the weird vibe thing. Do the good vibe thing. You know what I mean. Or you can call up or FaceTime a good friend, a family member, someone you're mentoring through your church community, or someone you know if you called them, it would just make their day. Well, it totally made my day to make this video for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I am seriously riding high off oxytocin after this video. So if you're feeling the love too, leave me a comment down below and I'll see you next time.